Hello everyone, welcome to yet another session of SS Gurukul. Today we will cover the next knowledge area, schedule management. In the previous edition it used to be called as time management. In this edition it is called as project schedule management. So what is project schedule management all about? Project schedule management is about doing the processes in a way to ensure timely completion of the project. Remember, one of the success criteria for any project is to complete it within schedule. Now, the project schedule management knowledge area as a whole has 6 processes. They are: number 1, plan schedule management; number 2, define activities; number 3, sequence activities; number 4, estimate activity duration; number 5, develop schedule; number 6, control schedule. Now, in this session, we will talk about the first 2 processes, plan schedule management and define activities. Plan schedule management. So, what are we talking about in plan schedule management? Plan schedule management is all about identifying and documenting processes, policies that you would follow for this project. So, basically, kind of tailoring or thinking how you would go about doing schedule management for the project. Be it how you would plan schedule management, how you would come up with a schedule, what scheduling tools that you will use, what scheduling method you will use, what is the unit of measure that you will use while preparing the schedule, and so on. Now, define activities is about identifying and documenting the list of tasks that are needed to produce the project's deliverables. So these are the 2 processes that we would cover in detail in today's session. Now, before we get into schedule, how does a schedule get generated and how does a schedule look like? So a schedule, first of all, is a detailed plan that tells how and when project deliverables would be produced. Now, to come up with a detailed plan, there are 3 aspects that are needed for a project manager to develop a schedule. Number 1, a scheduling method. A scheduling method could be using critical path method called CPM or an agile approach that is trending today. Now, after choosing a particular scheduling method, we input all the schedule related details, the list of activities, the durations, the dependencies, everything into a scheduling tool like a Microsoft project. Now, and work on building a model called as scheduling model. So, by choosing a scheduling method, inputting all the details that we have gathered from previous knowledge area as well as current knowledge scope as well as current knowledge area, which is time, the list of activities, we come up with a scheduling model. With the help of scheduling model, scheduling tool and a scheduling method, the output produced is the schedule. Once again, schedule is a detailed plan that lists all the activities that tells how and when project deliverables would be produced. Let us look at the first process, plan schedule management. Plan schedule management establishes processes, procedures, policies and documentation for developing, monitoring and controlling the project schedule. Now, the benefit of this process is it provides the guidance as to how the project would be executed and how the schedule would be managed. Now, there are to execute this process, you need inputs, tools and techniques and output. The inputs for this process are project charter, scope management plan, a development approach, and of course, enterprise environment factors and organization process assets. Tools and techniques are meetings, data analysis, and expert judgment. The output of this process is a schedule management plan. So let us look at what are the key inputs and tools and techniques. So one of the key input is project charter. So the project charter would outline at a summary level the milestones and high level project schedule, high level project objective. So it provides the boundary within which the project manager and the team has to come up with a schedule. The scope management plan tells how the scope is getting managed. Accordingly, the schedule also should be managed. Now, in terms of tools and techniques, so I will skip the expert judgment part. Now, going to data analysis. Data analysis is similar to alternative analysis that was taught in scope management. So, when we look at data analysis, the project manager and the team is coming up with options to come up with the best possible schedule. It could be by choosing different approach such as agile or critical path method, or using a different scheduling tool, playing around with task relationships that we will cover later. So all those come under data analysis. So, and in terms of the output schedule management plan, the content of schedule management plan is the documented policies and procedures that would be employed by the project manager and the team to come up with a schedule. It could include the level of accuracy to which a task should be estimated, the unit of measure, it could be in weeks, months, days of each of the tasks, reporting format, how often it has to be reviewed, which scheduling methodology can be used, what are all the scheduling tools that can be used, how often it has to be reviewed, who has authority to change it. So, in terms of schedule management plan, it provides the guidance as to how one would go about executing schedule management for the project. Now, let us look at the second process, define activities. So, as I said earlier, define activities is the process of identifying and documenting the list of actions or activities needed to produce the project deliverables. Now, the key inputs for this process are: number one, the schedule management plan. Number two, scope baseline. Why scope baseline? Scope baseline contains work breakdown structure and the scope statement and WBS dictionary. Scope statement is required to identify the boundaries for the scope. Work breakdown structure defines the work packages or the deliverables. Now, only when we know what are all the work packages involved, can we be in a position to break down the activities required to produce that work package. So that is the reason why they are key. There are key inputs. Now, in terms of tools and techniques, the tools and techniques are expert judgment, meetings, rolling wave planning, decomposition. Now, let us look at the tools and techniques. Decomposition. Decomposition has already been covered in scope. It is the process of dividing and subdividing work packages into smaller parts so that they can be reasonably estimated and managed. So in this case, work packages are divided and subdivided into list of activities. Now, rolling wave planning. Rolling wave planning is an iterative technique such as in Agile. So why is it required? In rolling wave planning, project work that needs to be accomplished in the near term are detailed out in planning, whereas those that have to be delivered farther apart are planned at a higher level. So the amount of planning that goes into that, the ones that has to be accomplished in near term, is much more in detail. And when we get further, when we progressively elaborate, the other parts gets elaborated. So that is called rolling wave planning. Now, with the inputs and the tools and technique, the output produced are the list of activities, activity attributes, milestone list, change requests. So what are activities? Activities are actions that are identified to produce the project deliverables. Activity attributes tells more about the activities, like cross-reference to WBS, predecessor, successor. So all the dictionary elements, more subjective elements about the activity are stored in activity attributes. Now, milestones. So what are milestones? Milestones are an event or a point which signifies something. So it could be design sign off, UAT sign off. So typically milestone being an event or point does not have duration. The duration is 0. Now the list of milestones provide an exhaustive list of important events for the project. And you can also qualify milestones as contractually binding or mandatory or discretionary and so on. Now why does change request come as an output? During rolling wave planning, during the iterative planning technique, as we progressively elaborate and detail out further aspects for work that needs to be accomplished in further, we reveal or we unearth parts that were not part of the original baseline. So that may end up being change requests that we need to document, and it has to be managed separately. Other output that comes out of this process are updates to the baselines, such as schedule baseline and project baseline, including cost. So now planning is an iterative activity. So as we unearth new things during rolling wave planning, those baselines are also getting updated.